Hold up! This isn't some cheesy kid show. This is Kids in the Tank, an interview with our keynote speakers and a young perspective on business and life from high school juniors and seniors.
All right, welcome to Kids in the Tank, guys. I am Mason, and with me in the tank today are Presley, Cade, and Liana. Today we are very honored to have Dan Tretola as our special guest. Dan is a vice president of marketing at Bolt, an online payment platform designed to drive e-commerce. Dan, you are officially in the hot seat.
The hot seat.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Good to be here.
All right, we're going to do a little icebreaker to start it off. So, we see that you're from California. How'd you take the 49ers Super Bowl loss?
Okay, so it's a funny question. I don't follow the NFL. Sorry.
Did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did not watch the Super Bowl.
okay.
I was actually rock climbing because nobody was in the gym.
Definitely understandable.
The halftime show was the best part, so.
It was.
Yeah.
So good.
Sorry.
All right. Well, how about what were some of your favorite college experiences that shaped you into the person you are today?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. So I did play baseball in college. And, you know, this is actually an interesting story. I didn't take it very seriously. And so I relied on raw talent. But when you get to that level, you're surrounded by people who are. It was Division One baseball, and you're surrounded by people who are putting in the work. They have the talent and they're putting in the work. And I was used to coming from a high school environment where I was just the most talented and I could kind of coast. I wasn't interested in doing the work, so I got to college and I was on the team. I wasn't doing the work, and I didn't really care. So I kind of petered out on the team. But I was always sort of disappointed in myself. I was like, well, I think I could have actually done really well. I just never gave it the effort. And so, as I mentioned earlier today, I rock climb. One of the reasons why that got me into rock climbing was it's sort of a rewind back to those old days of college where I didn't do what I feel like I could have done and done something. Rock climbing is it's better to do when you're younger, but you can do it when you're older as well. And I'm doing all the nutrition now. I'm doing all of the training the right way. I'm doing all the cross training the right way. And, I'm a really good rock climber right now. So
what was the hardest mountain, or would you say rock you climbed?
Like hindrance?
Yeah. What was the most challenging you're most proud of?
So it's a place in Pinnacles, which is actually kind of an interesting spot because the type of rock that's there, you have to knock on it first before you can trust holding on to it because the rock might rip off the wall.
Wow.
No, it's a couple. That's why it was the most challenging, is because it's super sketchy. But it was over at Pinnacles. It's going up about 150 feet at Pinnacles.
With a harness?
No.
I'm on a harness, but it's called lead climbing. So with lead climbing, what you're doing is you're actually tying up, right? You're clipping into bolts that are up. So you're climbing up, you clip into bolts, take the rope, and put the rope through through your carabiner, and that's what's holding you. Somebody is belaying you down on the ground, but it's not a rope from the top. You're carrying the rope up with you.
I could never do
So
that.
we saw on your LinkedIn that your first couple of jobs you were a design engineer. Did that have any impact on what you do now, or filter into some of your learning that you've done?
Oh, yeah, in a sense. So that was when I designed semiconductors. I don't do any of that anymore, and it doesn't really affect my current career. I have changed. I do have a very unusual career track in the sense that I have changed my career 4 or 5 times. But I don't actually think that that's a hindrance to anybody in life. It used to be where people would get super suspicious about that sort of thing. But no, I actually think people should be doing that. You have to reinvent yourself. You have to continually reinvent yourself.
So during your time at Facebook, revenue increased from $100 million a year to $20 billion a year. Your role was kind of the creating the ads. What was kind of the process for that, and how did you like assist in that? I mean, you pretty much solely started it. So like, I mean, what was like the process like when you first started that? Is like, it's probably your biggest job.
It was a pretty crazy gig. There were no engineers really to work on ads, so I had to. There were a couple, but I had to actually recruit engineers and ask them to work on ads, and that was more difficult than you would think. Internal to the company, right? Say, hey, come work on this project with me, ads, and that was actually more difficult than you would think. And then I had to define what it was that we were building. Back in the day, we decided to come up with principles for ads because we knew these ads wanted to be different than anything that existed out there. And we came up, I don't remember what all the principles were, but it was things like it had to be engaging. It had to have a social element with it. Like, so there had to be something connected to a friend somewhere. And so we came up with, at the time, these ad units that were novel, things like virtual gift to a friend. I don't know if you all remember that. But you could give a virtual gift to a friend, but this was a sponsored virtual gift. Think like an Indiana Jones hat or something like that. And so, the movie studios would pay for that. But we also had to come up with how do we serve the ads to people? So I came up with a whole targeting framework, figure out how do we do targeting based on age, sex, gender, interest, because everybody's putting their interest into Facebook. And then we built an auction system. So the way people buy ads is essentially by auction. If we want to put an ad in front of you, there are 5 other advertisers that want to put an ad in front of you right now. So how do we decide who puts that ad in front of you? Well, it's based on an auction. What are they willing to pay? And so that's how Facebook makes money, is basically by having advertisers compete for your attention.
A question. So with being like the first person and really getting it started, did you go in feeling like there was a lot of pressure, or did you go in more confident, like, okay, let's get this going?
Yeah, it's super interesting. There was only my own pressure. It was really an amazing situation to walk into because Mark Zuckerberg, Zuck, at the time just didn't care. He was like, I don't care about the making money side. And so I had a lot of time and not a lot of pressure. So it was great.
I got another question about that. So in 2016, when or I think it was 2018, the whole marketing scandal went down, could you foresee any of that? Just creating what you've created for Facebook, could you see that there was a disaster building in some way?
That's a good question. Yes and no. Everything is hindsight, right? Hindsight is 2020. None of that was ever intended. But yes, I do have. I'm assuming you're talking about the things like Cambridge Analytica and the selling of data to all of that. I mean, that's super unfortunate. I think the reality is the news story makes it more impressive and more scandalous than what it really, really was. But regardless, it's people's data, and that's important to people, and that it wasn't really understood back in the day, but we did have inclinations of saying like, maybe this isn't, maybe there's some repercussions of this, but you could never really figure out, you could never really predict what that might be. And what I can say is there was never any malintent. That doesn't make it okay, though.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
All right, so what is your favorite part about working at Bolt? And is what you're doing now always what you envisioned yourself doing?
No, I've never envisioned myself doing this. But what's my favorite about working at Bolt is the people. It's how do I connect with the human beings? And so here's the wonderful thing about companies, is that everybody has hopes and dreams in their lives. And if a company is run the correct way, the people running the company and everybody at the company is invested in everybody else and their hopes and dreams. So I have people working on my team. I'm invested in their hopes and dreams. So I know every single person on my team, what they currently want out of life. And I try to see myself as a facilitator to that stuff. So it's not 100% business. It's not 100% how do we get this out the door and how do we improve this metric at the company. I invest in them, and as a result, they want to work for me and they want to work hard for me. And that's the approach that I take at Bolt. And so if I ever, that's the only way I could see myself working nowadays. I didn't used to work that way with people, but that's how I work today.
All right, so I got another question. So when you had said that your ego was kind of inflating and you had to take a step back and kind of do some, self-developing, what was your main techniques? Did you read books? Did you, meditate? What was your go-to, find your inner self?
It took a while. It took a while. I didn't really know what was wrong with me. Again, as I said earlier today, I was angry. And what I was angry at the time was the company was big. At the time I left, so I was employed and I knew everybody at the company, and I was a mascot at the company, and it was a cult of personality. And the company got to, when I left, I want to say there were 17,000 employees. So from 400 to 17,000, and everybody knew me, it seemed, but I knew nobody at this point. And that's super, like, your head just like blows up. And so yeah, I had to get out of that. I was angry because I didn't have as much power in the company as I used to. And the reason why I didn't have as much power in the company as I used to is because it's now a big company and you have to divide up the power. And so it was just all ego based, but I knew I was in the wrong. And so I knew I was angry, and I needed to get out and figure that out. I read books. Not at this point right now, I don't, but during those 5 years, I was averaging 50 books a year. So that's about one a week. Most of it was on the nonfiction side. So it was all sort of factual based stuff. I read a lot of philosophy, which led me ultimately to spirituality, and spirituality led me to self-help.
Okay. What was the go-to book? Like, what's your most impactful book?
Yeah, it's a book called Awareness by Anthony DeMello. I highly recommend it. If I could buy every single person that was there tonight that book, I'll do it. It's a life changer.
All right. So, why did you decide to attend the University of Michigan? Any pro tips on how to handle college at a large university?
I went to University of Michigan because of my ego. It was a good time though. It's a great school. Wisconsin's pretty great too. That's right.
That's where I want to go.
I actually think Wisconsin's pretty similar to Michigan in many respects. But what I would suggest in how to take advantage of these large schools, because Michigan's a large school and it's a great school, is, again, this goes back to figuring out who you are as an individual. Don't do things because your friends want to do it and this, that, and the other. Do things because you want to do it. And so what are your interests? What are the things that you geek out on? And large universities, by the way, have almost an infinite number of resources for, in some places, ridiculously arcane things. You could I promise you, University of Michigan has a rock climbing club, right? For example, there's just things for everything. And so I would just jump into that. So this is what I tell my kids. So I have a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old, and there's a rule that I have, and my ex-wife also abides by this, by the way. And it's, you have to have an activity going at all times. When you select your activity, you're committed to that activity until that activity is done. So if it's baseball for the spring, you're committed to playing the spring in baseball. Once that's over, you're not committed to that anymore. And you don't have to do that ever again if you don't want to do that. It's your life. You get to make your choices. So I've exposed them. The goal is to expose them to as many things as possible. So my oldest son right now, he's a rock climber. He plays drums, and he's a sailor. By the way, I don't know anything about sailing. I know nothing about playing drums. My younger, right? So like, these are his choices. He's happened to stumble upon them, and he's really great, and he's advanced at all three of those things, and it just blows me away. And I think that's just a function of letting somebody make their own choices in life.
You mentioned earlier that you went to a community college, correct, in the beginning?
That's right.
And then you've also attended a large university. So, like, do you think that benefited you? Like, are you glad you did that, or?
So I was really, at the time, sort of bent out of shape about it, because you're talking to a person, again, who is all about me, where I had to put myself through school, and like my older brother had gotten it paid for by my parents, and I was bitter about that. And why did he get to go to a 4-year school out of high school, and I have to go to a community college? And I'm schlepping around, and I don't get the college experience of meeting all the people in the dorms and going to the parties and all of that. And I was sort of bitter about that, quite frankly. Um, and then when I did go to a 4-year college, I was a transfer student, so I never did get that experience, and I was always bent out of shape about that, as opposed to looking at it from a different frame of mind of like, dude, I went to a 4-year school. Like I went to a community college and then went to a 4-year school with an amazing major. It's not like I didn't make friends. It's just everybody's experience is different. I was just so interested in being a victim or holding on to stuff. Like honestly, like it all buffs out in the end. And that's one of the lessons I kind of want to depart with is, don't make it about yourself. It's the journey. Like there's no such thing as fair in life. Stop with the fair thing. Fair, like nobody promised anyone a fair life.
Yeah. So what do you wish you would have known starting your career, and like what advice would you give to parents for their kids in starting that career, how to start?
For parents, huh? What's the advice for parents?
Yeah, like what would you, because you said, sorry, you mentioned earlier, like, do your thing, like, as a kid. So, like, what advice would you give to parents to
Right.
be, like, not forcing them so much to do, like, what the
Yes.
parents have done?
So, that's a good question. So, oh boy, here's one of the things one of the ways that clicked with me is this was before I sort of had my aha and enlightenment and things like that. My oldest son, he's 13. He has 3 pretty severe learning disabilities. He has ADHD. He has some memory processing issues, and he has memory processing ADHD, and he's dyslexic as well. And so it actually makes learning really, really difficult. And he has a ton of support and all that. And in the beginning, I was really frustrated about it. And then I realized how ridiculously intelligent he is, and how he's an old soul too, but how his EQ is his emotional intelligence is through the roof. And so I just thought about it for a minute, and I said, you know what? I'm not really concerned about him. Like he's going to be okay in this world. And by the way, his future job probably doesn't even exist today. That's the other thing that's crazy to think about is the jobs that you guys eventually get probably don't even exist today. Think about that for a minute. That's crazy.
Gives me a little hope.
So as a well-versed, calculated, and experienced professional, what's next in the storybook of Dan Tretola and that amazing hair of yours that everyone likes on Facebook?
Thank you.
Big fan of your hair.
So I also happen to create the Pages product. So that's why that page exists. That was, but what's next? It really comes down to investing in community, and that's really what I'm passionate about right now. Is how do I just keep investing in the community?
So thank you. You're just such a good soul, and I think we all really appreciate that. But next, we're gonna move into our next segment that is called Flip It. So instead of us asking you questions, you're going to get to ask us the questions. And no hair.
Okay, well, so what's going on in all of your heads right now after hearing this? Do you guys feel like pressure from parents? Do you feel like I have no idea what's going on nowadays in the lives of late teenagers looking at college and what kind of pressures they're feeling? Is it the same as when I was younger? Are you trying to figure out oh my God, do I need to define what the rest of my life looks like right now? I mean, that's super overwhelming, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
And we start with you, Kate.
Yeah,
go around.
we'll go. Okay, go.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think from just learning what I've heard from you today, it's kind of just a step back and just take a moment and look at myself personally instead of what everyone else wants me to be. I think that's kind of huge. I think I hear constantly what I have to do, where I need to go. They plan out my life, and I think I need to step back and kind of do some, soul searching myself. I think that's what I've learned from you personally today is that, it's kind of about, it's more to life than just my success, my path, who I please, answering to people. And I honestly appreciate you so much for that. And when I asked you what kind of books you read and stuff, you bet that I'm going to read that book. For me.
I appreciate that.
So, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know, like, you coming today is just literally defined, like, what I'm going through right now. A lot of things are hitting hard right now, just especially with college. I've just been thinking constantly, going to my counselor, like, just doing searches just about, like, what should I do? Like, and oh my gosh, I'm going to be in so much debt. Should I go to Madison? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I have so many things coming up, like ACT and all, DECA and all these crazy things that I have going on. And I'm just trying to be, like, the best person I can be. And it's, like, there's so much pressure to just be that person. But I'm really outgoing and I'm really social. And, like, I've learned definitely starting now, like, I don't care what people think of me, like, at all. Like, I've noticed that in myself now. I kind of separate myself.
He's getting all excited.
Yeah. No, it's weird because I just separate myself. I focus on what I love. And if people don't like me, then that's their problem, not mine. So I'm just
I
being
love it.
myself. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's what you said today.
I do want to pause there, and thank you for sharing that, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it's as important to figure out what you don't want to do as it is to figure out what you do want to do. So if and when you guys go to college, I would suggest taking as many different types of classes as you can. Just, and if it takes you, your parents probably aren't going to love this, but if it takes you 7 years to get out of college, fine. Like you figured out what you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. For me, fortunately, I kind of my parents have always been like really relaxed and like really supportive of me just doing whatever I want. And luckily for me, I have an older sister and I actually have a twin brother too. And they kind of still don't really know what they want to do. My sister's like a junior in college; she's still trying to figure it out. But fortunately for me, I kind of just started to like business in general right when I got into high school and. I might kind of use my uncle as a mentor. He went into sales, so he kind of was like my go-to guy because he's successful, and I wanted to have nice cars like him and just be like that. But I don't know. I always saw myself as like that one kid in class that was really like outgoing. I always just wanted to get a laugh out of people, get a rise out of people, and similar to you, I've always kind of had. I took like some ADD medication for a while just because I'm all over the place, super fidgety like that. But I've never really cared too much what people think. I think like getting in front of people and talking, I always got nervous about, even though I was always trying to be the loud one when I was sitting down. But when I was up in front of people, I wound up getting nervous. But I don't know. I feel like nowadays parents kind of realize that there's less pressure, that they should pressure their kids less. I mean, my dad got a degree. He got a master's degree in social work, and he's working as like a counselor. So for me, he kind of let us go on our own. I played baseball for like 13 years, and then when I decided to stop, he like understood why, and like so I feel like today it's kind of a little bit, at least for my situation, I kind of don't really care what people think, or I take their advice or leave it. But I mean, most of the time I've had my mind set on a straight plan for me, so I kind of just like live by it and just try to help other people as I go, I guess.
Dude, that's awesome. Good for you.
As for me, like, I feel like there's, like, a lot of pressure, but, like, there's not. And, like, coming to, like, BizTank and hearing people like you, it, like, has kind of lessened my worries. Like, oh, it is okay. Like, it'll be okay in the end and stuff. And, like, I really want to go into, like, sociology. And, like, I love working with people and, like, volunteering, like, really, like, excites me. So, like, putting that into play with, like, sociology is, like, what makes me happy. And, with, like, everyone asks, like, when I tell them that, like, okay, so, like, what's your job going to be? And I'm like, we haven't gotten there yet, but, like, we will. So, like, I feel like a lot of people have put doubt in that. It's, like, you want to learn, but, like, what are you going to make a career out of? Like, how are you going to make money? Oh, you want to help people? Like, you're not going to be rich in the end. It's, like, so, like, slowly getting to that point where it's, like, but we're going to find something. And, like, I'm trying to, like, tell them it's, like, it's not all about the money at the end. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to help people, like, that's what I'm going to do. So, like, there's, like, that sense of pressure, but, like, at ease that, like, it'll be okay. So, like, I don't know.
I love it. That's a great answer. Thank you.
Any other questions for us, Dan?
How did you all get involved in BizTank?
Well, my friend over here, Mason, brought it up to me. I heard the idea. He explained it to me, and I'm all about the self-developing. So I was all in immediately. I checked it out on Facebook, and I was all in.
Mhm.
So that's how I got into it. How about you?
Yeah, so my sophomore year, my business teacher, I was in social media marketing, he presented it to us. I'm like, oh, that's really dope. They get to do podcasts, and they just get to go to a place. And it was like only 75 people get in. I'm like, oh, this is like legit. I got to get into this. So then beginning of my junior year, Jeff came in, and he was like announcing. I was front row, just like listening. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just heard about this. I want to be in so badly. So like I went up to him, I asked him about like the website or whatever, and I got signed up right away. And since then, like I just feel, I don't know, I feel amazing. Like I love BizTank so much. It's helped me grow, not just as a person, but just like my work ethic, and like it's also helped me in my future because like people like you put me at ease and just tell me, like, even though I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I have to have a plan, all of you guys are just like, you don't, you're gonna get there, you're gonna love your life, just do what you want to do. So
That's true.
yeah.
For me, it was this is my first year and Kate's first year. Our school is kind of the farthest one out of all the schools that come here, and so I just feel like really lucky to be able to even find it, because I'm in this one class. It's called like professional seminar, and we made a resume in that class. We made cover letters. It's kind of like a career preparation class, and I wound up actually through that class being able to represent our business program at our school. So I've been talking to all the incoming freshmen about like our business program and telling them to do some business classes. But so in that class, we did a lot of field trips. And we went and talked to a really successful real estate agent, and we got to sit down with him for like an hour and a half and just sit there and ask him questions and interview him. And so, yeah, they do a lot of career research stuff and bring us on field trips. And the teacher of that class actually taught at Elkhorn, and which is a school right near this area, which a lot of kids are from, Presley. And so she was actually the first teacher to have her class introduced to it. So she wound up telling my class about it and of how she did it a few years ago, and she knows a bunch of the interns that work here and stuff. So she brought us on a field trip here, a full tour of the place. We all got to meet Jeff, and when he brought us in like his office and the production room that we're in and everything, I was like just blown away, and I was like I was just astonished that someone makes a successful company and then does something like invest their hard-earned money and dedication in something like this to just help a bunch of high school students. So I was instantly all for it, and right away I went and told a few people about it. I went to Cade right away because he's someone that I respected his grind. So I was like, okay, well, we need to get some Wilmot kids over here because there's 3 of us out of like 85 kids that sign up. So yeah, I was just really astonished by the whole program. So this is my first season. Unfortunately, I'm a senior already, but I'll definitely be trying to come back next season because it's been great.
Side note, there's also food, so thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The food's great.
Yeah.
A couple of my friends came, and then like we have like posters hanging up around school. So then I was like reading in on it. I'm like, oh, and like it's right here in town, like where I'm from. So then I was like, such an easy opportunity, like right here, like a whole 3.5 minutes away. Like I don't understand why I wouldn't take up on the opportunity one time a week. So then like I joined, and like it was like really exciting. And because like I tend to be more like shy, and I was like, this would be like a perfect opportunity for me to like step out of my comfort zone. So like right now, even just talking to you through like a screen is like me stepping out of my comfort zone. So like I'm really happy that I joined because like I get to do more things like this and listen to people who have like struggled but then reached success and have been on like that roller coaster that I think like we're all gonna go through at some point in our lives. So
It's a beauty of it.
yeah.
And you know, I don't think Jeff gets enough credit because he is amazing.
Yes.
I mean, the way he sets everything up, gets you guys to come out here. I mean, he deserves all the credit in the world.
Yeah.
We love you, Jeff.
Yeah, shout out to Jeff.
Jeff's a legend.
He is a
He's
legend.
a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
And I want to say I appreciate all of you. Thank you for doing the podcast with me.
No problem. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate everything you've told us. Being able to do the podcast with you is perfect time and great opportunity.
Yeah.
And thanks for taking your time out of your day to do this with us. We really appreciate it.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right,
Thank
take care.
you.
It's been
See
a
ya.
pleasure. Bye. Have a good night.
All right.
All right, a quick shout out to Dan Tretola for being our guest on Kids in the Tank. Before we continue with our last segment, the round table, here's a word from our sponsors.
Welcome back to the Kids in the Tank. We are now entering our third and final segment, the round table.
Oh god, this is the round.
All right, this is where we're going to be talking about some hot topics and trends for today.
Me.
Let's get right into it.
Coronavirus.
The guy that was
We're all dead.
trying to warn about it died from coronavirus.
Okay.
Didn't hear about that.
What
You
I
didn't hear
heard
about
though,
that?
No.
it's
Okay.
in Madison, so
Well,
I did hear
if I
that.
want to go there, I'm
pretty
gonna go
much the guy, one of the scientists in China who was like working on it and was like one of the first people to discover the virus, actually just died from coronavirus.
Oh,
So he
how
literally
ironic.
like discovered it and was
Yeah.
researching it, and I think that's devastating. I
It
mean, like
is.
when you're
Yeah.
working on finding the cure and you were the one who literally was like, hey, this is like an epidemic,
yeah.
like yo, and then you wind up dying from it. Like I guess the irony, but like that's sad.
Yeah.
That's
So weird.
That is tragic.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got here? We got some new songs by KITT. You guys hear it? It is
sorry.
amazing.
I didn't.
you
What is
listen
it
to
called?
Know Your Worth. Know Your Worth is
I
what it's
Are
called.
they
think-
like his other songs? Like
I think
kind
it's
of the
just a
same vibe
single.
or like a little different?
Oh, is it like the? Yeah, it's like the other songs.
Like the
Like
other songs, like
Location.
kinda like
Sounds
the
like
same-
Location.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the only
Okay.
songs I've heard by him is Location and then the song Talk. Like, can we just
So
talk?
all the
I
big
hate
ones
that
on the
song.
radio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
just like his.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to listen to it because I do like Khalid.
I don't want to get on my feels on the way home, so I'm going to listen to it later.
Start stopping in the,
No,
in the
but...
car.
Broom.
Oh,
Okay,
what?
what is
Did
with
any of you guys
the
try it?
broom trend?
Broom trend.
No,
I didn't
People, I've
either.
been seeing people. They're just broom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brooms.
Honestly,
What is
I,
that supposed to mean?
I just wish I could be one of these people who's just like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
at home. Oh, here's a broom. Let me record
Okay,
that
yeah,
and go
explain,
viral. Like,
what is with
I
the
saw a
broom?
video
I
on
don't get
TikTok
it.
too. It was like 11. They held up a clock and it was 11:59, and they had 3 brooms, and then like when it struck midnight, like for the next day, all the brooms fell. And I was
Yeah, yeah.
like accurate or not? I wasn't
Nah.
like sure.
TikTok is all for clout.
I'm not even
True.
joking though. Like, all right, this is gonna be it's kind of nerdy, but it has to do with the polarity of the
Yeah,
Earth.
that's-
That's
I
what
saw
I
that.
read,
yeah.
and that's why they're standing.
Which I get it. It's kind of cool. It looks cool. But I'm like, who actually was just sitting down?
Tries
And
that,
like,
yeah.
I wish I could be one of those
It's
people
like,
every day when I'm
broom.
on anything, Instagram or TikTok. I'm like, okay. I try to tell myself, what's something just super random that I can make go
Grab a
viral?
broom.
That's what
Who
I'm
just- but
thinking.
who just,
I
like,
had
did that?
one video go viral. It was for soccer. So basically, we went to state for soccer like this year, and all the boys decided to bleach their hair. And I managed them. So after state, I like took pictures from before state, and it was like it's like a good song, and then it gets like distorted, and so then my distortion was like I went around school and I just filmed them because they all had terrible bleached blonde hair, and I got like
crazy.
22,000 likes and like 100,000 views, and then it got deleted, so my
See, I
TikTok
think
fame
it's
is
like
down the
more,
drain.
It's the more random videos like that. I
Yeah,
think, that
I'm
go
like,
viral.
what do I need to put out in order to
Yeah.
get this? Be Charlie
Yeah.
D'Amelio, you know?
You know what it is? I know what it is. It's just people at work. Like, what can I do
Dude,
to
I have
pass
some
time?
good videos
But it's
They
on my
take
kinda
the
dumb, like-
broom
Yeah.
You know,
they
I
stick
don't
it
know.
on the floor.
All right. Waukesha, a customer at KFC throws chicken at a manager's head.
I didn't know this.
What? I mean,
I want to see the video.
I haven't seen
I want
that,
to know the
but
reason why.
yeah, first.
What urges you?
Okay, first, who goes to KFC? I'm sorry.
Okay, KFC
Okay,
is
I
pretty
like
good.
it. The bowl.
I
Chick-fil-A
I
is
usually-
better.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A.
better.
Oh,
But
I
who
wish-
throws the chicken they just paid for
Yeah.
at the manager's head? So I'm assuming it wasn't cooked right, or
Yeah.
because like
I
a
don't
bad
think so,
chicken's
man.
not
I
great.
think it was the manager with the broom. I think
You put the broom out.
Yeah,
No,
they
just
were
kidding.
like, I don't
Let's
want
talk
to see that
about
here.
them building another Burger King in Delavan when we should build like a Chick-fil-A or something.
Okay,
More
you guys have a
relevant.
lot of stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
Twin Lakes, where
yeah,
I'm
you guys
at,
have
our area, we have. I
nothing.
mean,
Yeah,
we
my dad grew
we have
up
a
there.
good amount of stuff. I mean, we have Burger
I
King.
would even say that.
That's connected to a gas station. And then we have some good like breakfast places, but it's all like more mom and pop restaurants. Like
Right,
we have a
yeah.
little Chicago style place, we have a bakery, like here out here this way when it's more
Everything.
populated, it's like all the big names. You got every choice in the world. to
Taco
go
Bell.
He hits up that Taco Bell every single time he
Okay, I
leaves
love
his
Yeah,
Taco
house.
Bell
on the way
though.
home,
I
that's
can't
good.
complain. Taco Bell
Supreme steak
hits.
burrito. Or
I don't
whatever.
blame you, man.
Yeah.
Taco Bell's amazing.
Bro,
Never
I kinda want
disappoints.
Well, I didn't eat here, so I
Giannis Antetokounmpo had his baby.
Yeah,
William
I
Charles.
saw
Wait,
this.
wait, can you say that again? Giannis who?
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, all I know is his kid
Yeah.
it better be taller
Any
than him.
Wisconsinite that just heard you said that, cringe.
I'm sorry,
I
guys.
Say
promise
it
you.
then for us right now.
It's Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo. Okay.
Antetokounmpo.
I
Okay.
played
Antetokounmpo.
2K, but
And
when I read it, it throws me off.
No, I understand.
Why
Antetokounmpo.
is his name like
It's definitely-
Giannis and his kid's name is Leo? That's my brother's name. That's a little weird.
That is true. His kid's probably going to be tall and have some big old feet. That's for sure.
He's dunking at 3.
Valentine's Day. What are you guys' plans for Valentine's Day?
My boyfriend's coming down from Madison. We're gonna hang out.
Oh, he goes there?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's freshman.
How about you, kid?
I don't really know. I don't think I have that many plans.
I want to go to Olive Garden, but
Yeah.
his suggestion is
Movie maybe?
McDonald's because he's a broke college student. Like,
Whoa.
okay,
My
whatever.
boyfriend
Can't
and
hate
I
on
are
his
gonna go
grind.
get sushi
Ooh,
in
that's-
Janesville.
Okay,
That's
I
something
really
like
want to try
that.
sushi,
Okay.
but I'm scared.
I'm not.
Me
I
too.
love
Like
seafood.
I
I
never
love
thought
seafood.
I would ever crave it, and like I've
Sushi's
just been
good.
waiting. Like ever since we planned it, like every day I think about it.
What's
I'm
your
gonna go to
favorite one?
hibachi.
What's your favorite sushi? I like
I know, I'm not like
California
a pro
rolls.
yet.
Yeah, that's the
that
go-to,
one's
man.
good.
Yeah.
Or like there's like a Hollywood one too. That's good.
Oh,
I
yeah,
like
like
anything that's
California
like
rolls.
crunchy with like the cream cheese in it.
Yeah.
That's
The raw
good.
ones are kind of like, those kind of
Yeah.
don't sound too well.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They look kind of nasty.
Yeah, they look nasty.
I'm not trying to flex or anything, but I might be skipping school on Friday.
Oh, that's flex.
And me and my girlfriend
what?
are hitting the train and going to Chicago.
That's,
And I'm
that's
gonna take her.
adorable.
You just topped like
I'm-
all of our
Yeah.
plans for that
Stop
day.
talking.
Yeah.
Bye.
She got
Bye.
McDonald's.
I'm
Well,
gonna
the
take
coronavirus is in
sushi.
Chicago, so
Oh,
we'll
well, then
see
I'll
you never.
probably be wearing
See you
masks,
never.
but I'll wear a mask, but we're gonna go ice skating.
Oh,
And
I want to
think
do
I'm
it
gonna,
so
and I
bad.
think I'm gonna
You
take her
win.
to dinner, and you
Ooh.
know,
Where's my
just walk
boyfriend at? You
around.
need to
You
step
win.
up
Maybe
right
go
now.
to the mall out there, maybe buy her something.
But like they might go to McDonald's, so like what are you competing?
Yeah,
Maybe I'll go
you're
to the Rock
losing
and
money
Roll
while I'm
one.
eating like a queen. So
Talking about Happy Meals, man.
like chicken.
Who's?
man.
Oh, my mom told me about this today. She goes, Presley, Joe Jonas had a baby. Or
Wait, is that who?
That's
Joe
not-
Jones?
well, they're having a baby. Yeah.
Wife
But the-
Sophie Turner.
Joe
I don't-
Jonas.
I don't know who that is. Honestly.
Joe
Wait,
Jones?
that's
She's
Joe
on some kind of
Jonas?
show. Joe Jonas, like Jonas Brothers.
Yeah, I know, but I just didn't know
Oh.
because they put JoJo.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the heck? Well, I mean, I guess congratulations to them
Congrats,
for
guys.
having
Yeah.
their first baby.
Oh, wrong one. Jennifer Aniston turns 51.
That's a lie, dude. She does not age.
She cute.
does
She
not
definitely.
age. She is
she's
still
pretty.
23.
Jennifer
Yeah.
Aniston. I haven't
She-
seen her in a while. What show is she
On
on?
Friends?
She looks the same as she looked on
Oh,
Friends.
have you seen
dude.
that movie with Adam Sandler? It was
Just
on
Do It.
Netflix.
Sandlot.
Oh, just kidding.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a chick flick,
That's a good
right?
movie though.
No, it
That's a
was
chick
like
flick, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's super funny.
I don't know how
love
to
it.
explain the movie.
Oh,
Whatever.
interesting.
Next, Taylor Swift documentary on Netflix.
I would
yeah, I
probably
don't
just
like Taylor
skip
Swift.
right
so.
You
through
guys
it.
watch it?
No.
Okay, but have you guys watched Aaron Hernandez?
Yeah,
that's
I
deep.
have.
That's
That
deep.
is a like if you
Maybe I
watch
should-
that.
I love documentaries.
Dude,
for
go
sure.
me
watch
too.
that one. It's
Yeah,
like
that's
It's
the
good.
one.
wild because he
I
has
like
like
watching
this whole.
conspiracies.
I learned
and stuff,
so much
yeah.
that I like wasn't expecting.
Literally.
I was like,
Yeah, he's
what?
like this big star NFL player. I remember watching him on
Yeah.
the play, and then all of a sudden you find out that he's murders his best friend, and
Yeah.
he's had
Yeah.
all these
Terrible.
scandals. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, do you know he killed himself for his daughter, and then they turned around? Because
Well,
you know what I'm talking about?
well, he had a brain disease.
Oh,
He had the brain disease that a lot of football players suffer
yeah,
from.
from
Actually,
from
it was
concussions.
yeah,
right?
he's had it for a long time. Which to me that was the
crazy.
scariest
It's really
part. I'm like,
interesting.
this dude killed himself because of all the stress, I think, and then like
I thought it was to give his like daughter the money, because like if he died and he wasn't testified,
yeah,
his
True.
daughter would get the money.
yeah, but I heard that something happened where the wife, like through a court case, wound up getting nothing or something.
yeah, because they changed the
Yeah,
law
because
right
something
after.
happened. Yeah, I don't know,
It's
but
crazy.
that's
What I thought was weird was that whole like him being like gay thing, and then
Yeah.
having like his wife to like cover up the
Yeah,
fact that he
that's-
was,
that
and then
was
the
weird.
fact that like, he
Yeah.
has like a child,
and
I
then
was
they
like,
had that other guy
was it-
that was trying to say they
Yeah.
had this intimate relationship. It's like, what
Yeah.
do you believe?
It was
I mean,
a-
he could just be
yeah.
saying that.
Yeah,
Obviously,
it
maybe
was like
something
on,
happened,
and I was
but-
actually scrolling through TikTok, not paying attention, and I heard it, and I looked up, I was like, no, rewind. I was
Yeah.
like, no way,
Yeah, and
no
it's like
way.
I get how you'd be like how that would feel if that's what you're feeling
Yeah.
inside and you're a professional football player, but I mean winds up killing himself in jail. Like it was just sad. That's a
Yeah.
good documentary
Yeah,
though.
that
If
is
not
you like
Taylor
documentaries,
Swift.
like you
Yeah,
said,
I'll
that's
watch
the one.
that.
to
Yeah,
go to.
don't watch
Yeah.
Taylor
That sounds
Swift.
really good. No,
Yeah.
I don't like Taylor Swift. Our prom, do you guys have like prom and like their prom court like dances in front of everyone?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Prom court.
our
No, they
song
just
is
get
Lover
locked-
by
yeah,
Taylor Swift.
they
It's
get
like the wedding remix. It's a good song, but personally, Taylor Swift and her past and her personality just don't appeal to me. I don't like her.
I just wonder
She
if
has
she's
good
still
music.
feeling 22.
What'd you say?
Oh,
I
that's
wonder
a
if she
good
still
song.
feels 22.
That's a good song. She's
'Cause I don't
turning
know about
30
you,
this
but-
year,
No
right?
way. I don't know.
That's
Wait,
all-
she was born in 1989.
Oh, you know her that well.
She
and you
turned
haven't
30
watched
last
that
year.
98.
Yeah, I've never
Isn't that
liked Taylor
weird?
Swift.
I don't like Taylor Swift, but like she's old.
You obviously know a lot about her though.
Yeah.
I like her music. I just don't like her personally.
Oh,
Apparently Jennifer Aniston's old. I don't know if I believe
Yeah.
that.
I don't believe that.
that's not that old. My parents are older than that, but still.
She's still 23, dude.
The Oscars. Did anybody
Did
watch the
not
Oscars?
Yeah,
no, I know
yeah.
Billie Eilish won like 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The
I
Joker
mean, it's
dude,
like the only thing I
right?
know.
Didn't the
Yeah,
Joker
he
guy
won.
win?
What's his name? I don't remember.
Phoenix. Something Phoenix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Phoenix.
I saw a lot about the Billie Eilish thing. People were like, "Oh, does she have to win every award?" Personally, I've listened to one song by her, and it's called Zanny. Yeah, I know. Don't do Zannies, but it's called Zanny, and it was just a really cool like. The beat of it is so weird. It's like all like chopped and like
Oh,
while
yeah,
she's
it's
singing.
bass. I saw her in concert.
Really?
Oh, you must
With
love
my
it.
sister. No,
That's
I
crazy.
did not want to be there. And like my cousin and my sister know all Billie Eilish songs. I know like a couple. So I was just standing there.
I think that'd be a
was
really
like,
bad concert. I don't
Yeah.
know why.
I
It's
don't
just
know, I
slow
don't know,
songs.
yeah.
I feel like.
No,
I
she
like-
has a lot of fast ones. Like okay, but some. There was only one song I was like, hell yeah, this is good. Like Bad Guy, you've heard on the
Oh,
radio.
yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah,
song,
yeah, that
only
song
good one.
everyone
Okay,
knows.
this is pretty hype. But other ones, I'm like,
I haven't
they were
listened
all
to
like
radio
super
ever.
slow. I'm just like, oh my god, I don't want to be sad right now.
My friends and
Yeah.
I were talking about like the hate she was getting about it because like her being so young, but like about what
Yeah.
she was saying. What did she say? Something about like her wishing someone else won, or
Just
I don't know, whatever she
be
said.
humble,
And I was like,
sit down,
yeah.
accept your
And
award.
then I was like, she's
Oh.
gonna get hate if she says something, but I was like, she's
Yeah.
gonna get hate if she didn't say anything.
Exactly.
She's
Very
gonna. I was
true,
like,
yeah.
no matter what the circumstance was, something was gonna be said.
It's-
Like
Right.
that's
yeah.
just the way it
Of
works.
course.
Either way, she got herself from being someone that's a pretty diverse style of music. So for her to be
That's hard,
that
yeah, that's
young
hard
and
to
be
do,
able to
yeah.
expose herself that much, obviously she has a ton of following. But I'm pretty sure a lot of her following's in other countries. I'm pretty sure like in
Really?
Europe or something, right? Don't a lot of
Maybe.
people?
I
'cause-
know a lot of people here like her.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I heard most of her concerts were all like in other countries. Like it was hard to see her in the U.S. even. But I don't know. I don't really pay attention to her that much. But
Yeah. So, thank you so much for listening to Kids in the Tank. Make sure to tune in next time for our guest, John O'Leary. He's an author and an inspirational speaker. That should
Sounds
be
interesting.
an
Yeah, that'd
amazing
be good.
one.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
well, 1, 2, 3.
Kids in the Tank out. Ow.
BizTank isn't possible without your help. For more information on BizTank and how you can help, interact with us on our social media or visit our website at gsbiztank.org.